Well, it's gone from a very low base. So 10 years ago, it was $3 billion outstanding, and now it's more than $2 trillion US, that is. But it needs to be much bigger. We're pushing for $5 trillion a year issuance in 2025 as a target. So it's a big step up. We'll get to $1 trillion a year issuance by the end of this year, run rate at least. So it'll be about 800 billion for the whole year. So we've got a way to go, but I think we can do it. There's three simple measures we've got to do. First is, we've got to be clear about what it is that we need to be doing. There's an awful lot of uncertainty and vagueness for that reason I mentioned earlier. For 30 years, politicians are saying, oh, too hard, what about we just do this? And everyone gets confused. And there are some tough choices to make. We now know, thanks to the Intergovernmental on Climate Change and the International Energy Agency, that gas has been a disaster for us because it leaks everywhere. And gas is 84 times as potent as CO2. Actually, that's not a transition. We have to change our policies. Pretty well every country in the world has gas as part of its climate change policy, 180-degree turn required, etc. Basically, bring the scientists in the room, get them to tackle the tough issues. What have we got to do in agricultural policy? Do palm oil plantations count or not? Well, yes, they do, because palm oil can be great at sequestration, but not if there's any push on deforestation like it's happening in Sumatra still. How do we differentiate? These are things we've got to sort out now. We've been talking about it for too long. So clarity on what to do. And that's, by the way, resilience as well, how to prepare for the future. 2, tilt the playing field to green. You know, we have had a society full of incentives for fossil fuels. In fact, we still have a lot of incentives for fossil fuels. We've got to phase them out and switch into green. For example, in many countries, they still have tax credits for certain sorts of car usage. Cancel them and give them to electric vehicles, at least. Cancel subsidies to fossil fuel, to petrol that exists in many countries. Give them to electric vehicles if you have to, or find ways to do it. Electric three-wheelers and two-wheelers should be the norm in a place like Malaysia now. We shouldn't have any petrol ones anywhere because they're actually cheap. And if you go to Shenzhen, for example, there are no petrol two-wheelers floating around anymore. Everything is electric. It's affordable, it's doable, you just have to have an active program to do it. But that applies to everything in society. And then lastly, we need to think about what the future is going to look like. In a world of increased volatility, which means really high temperatures and lower temperatures in places, and rainfall coming like a monsoon one day and then disappearing in a drought for the next 6 months, this changes everything. Our cities need to look different. There will be fewer cars. We need more mass transit, more cycling, at least electric cycling so they don't get too sweaty, more walking in the shade. In fact, more shade, trees everywhere, more of them. All of these things are part of imagining a different kind of world going forward. And it applies also to our wealth creation in cities. We're going to see a massive movement of people into the cities in the next 30 years. Smallholders are going to be forced off the land by different kinds of shocks to land use management. And as a result, we've got to start planning for making sure they can get jobs in cities. What does that mean for Malaysia's industrial and manufacturing and economic policy? Well, I can tell you, it means we've got to invest in education, because in urban environments, education is a critical requirement to develop the kind of wealth-creating economies that we see in urban environments around the world. So more on education. By the way, more on education of women, because there's a special benefit of educating women with a strong primary school. First, and most importantly, is they participate in the economic life of society more. But secondly, they also have a lower default rate. So if I'm a bank, lending to women is a much better bet. In microfinance in Bangladesh, for example, it's about a 1 to 3% default rate if you lend to women. If you lend to men, it's a 20% default rate. They drink it. So maybe they don't drink it in Malaysia with Islamic law and so on, but they do something which messes it up. So, we need to start thinking these things through and having appropriate policies, like educational policies, that support resilience. So much to be done. The good news is the capital is there. We have the capital of the planet. We just simply need to redeploy it a bit. And that's where the government and or state enabling measures to channel capital will make all the difference, including clarity, as I said at the beginning, about what to do.